We have seen memory work where things are repeated over and over. We have seen multiple Socratic discussions. We have seen activities such as drawing and picturing things not only in our mind but also on paper. We've seen mimetic teaching. And so there's been a lot of tools represented, and you all know your kids better or the best of anyone. So thinking about what tools you might put in your arsenal before you begin the school year is our purpose. So Latin at Trinity. Latin as a classical school is required. We begin Latin memorization at 3rd grade. So we have this first handout. This is Latin memory work grades 3 through 6. Now, each teacher may present these facts on papers that look different, but the facts stay the same. So the facts they memorize in 3rd grade are exactly the same as 4th, exactly the same as 5th, and exactly the same as 6th. And we say, why do we do that? Well, we do that because they need to know these cold before they roll into 7th grade, because this isn't everything. Okay, this is the basis that we build on in 7th grade, and then there's a lot more charts they're going to memorize after that. So while this may seem like by the time you get 6th graders, oh, we've done this over and over. Yes, you have, and you need to know it. So some things you can do at home if you're getting complaints about the Latin memory work is have them write it or drill it in a different order. Think about those charts. So the first part tells you what they're memorizing. And if you look at first 9 weeks, week 3, it says first declension noun endings. If you flip the page, you see first 9 week charts and you see first declension noun endings. Okay? So it says I am, is, as, is. Okay? And mostly by 6th grade, they can say that really well. I am, arm, is, as, is. But a lot of times they can't write it yet. Because if you notice, I said I when the letters say A-E. So what does your student want to do? Right. They want to write an I. Logical, right? But in our Latin pronunciation, it's not an I. And to make it even more confusing, the I says E, if it has a macron on it. And that is part of your second declension noun chart, okay? If you look down in your next chart here, second declension noun endings, us, e, o, e, orm, is, os, is. Okay? I said E when you looked at the I. This is why I say the next step, like if they're complaining about saying it and you know that they know it really well, have them write it. Or drill it out of order. Say, okay, so I've got a first declension noun ending. What is my accusative singular ending going to be? I've even done tic-tac-toe boards where I put first declension, and you can say accusative ending, accusative singular, accusative plural, genitive singular, genitive plural, nominative singular, nominative plural, and you play tic-tac-toe with them. You can use the sheet, but they should know it. So kind of be creative with games and think about how you might help them take that to the next level, okay? But everybody 3rd through 6th grade is memorizing the same thing. Do you have any questions on what that looks like? Okay. I know in 3rd grade, Mrs. Bean has written some additional songs. We have songs that I sing. I don't sing lovely, but they're on there. That helps the children, right? They know you don't have to sing it beautifully to know it. That can help memorize those as well. So songs help, but by 7th grade, we assume that they know that vocab, and we assume that they know those charts really, really well because they've got to interact with it. And I'm going to show you how 7th grade Latin pulls a lot of things together. So you remember that question confirmation from Shirley English that we kind of stopped talking about it in 4th grade? Well, we use it again when we hit 7th grade because you've got to know the part of speech in English before you can put your noun endings on, okay? In Latin, our words do not follow a traditional order. The verb is usually at the last of the sentence. So if we think of an English sentence like, if we think of an English sentence, the girl loves the forest. Where is our verb? It's in the middle, and we talk about the subject part of the sentence and the predicate part of the sentence, right? And we know the predicate, verb, and after, and the subject comes before the verb. But in Latin, your verb is always at the end of the sentence. And you have all the nouns in front of it. The only way you know what job the noun is doing in the sentence is by looking at the ending of the noun. So if I think of the girl Puella, okay, Puella, Puellae is our Latin word for girl, okay? And we have, what are some, if you think back to Shirley English, what are some noun jobs? What jobs do nouns do in a sentence?
Subject.
We have subject. What else do we have that our nouns do in a sentence? They're a direct object. I'm going to put it down a little bit. What else do our nouns do?
Is that different from object of the preposition?
It is very different from object of the preposition. I'm going to write that twice, and you'll understand why in a minute. What's some other noun jobs? Indirect object. Okay.
They can be possessive adjectives.
Thank you. They can be possessive. One, two, three, four. I've got too many here. No, I don't. Direct object. Direct object. This should be object of preposition. And then we have object of the preposition. Okay, put these in this order because in Latin, we have cases that identify the job in the sentence. And one of the first charts your students memorize, I'm going to put it this way, is this: nominative, subject, genitive, possessive, dative, indirect object, accusative, direct object, object of the preposition, and ablative, object of the preposition. This chart's crucial because it helps connect the Latin case with the job the noun's doing in the sentence. So I want you to say it with me because we got some strange words here, okay? I'm gonna say nominative and subject and you repeat after me. Are you ready? Nominative subject.
Nominative subject.
Genitive possessive.
Genitive possessive.
Dative indirect object.
Dative indirect object.
Accusative direct object, object of the preposition.
Accusative direct object, object of the preposition.
Ablative object of the preposition.
Ablative object of the preposition.
Okay, this time I'm going to say the case. You say what job it does. Nominative,
Subject.
genitive,
Possessive.
dative,
Indirect object.
accusative.
Direct object, object of the preposition.
Good job. Ablative.
Object of the preposition.
Excellent. One more time. Nominative,
Subject.
genitive,
Possessive.
dative,
Indirect object.
accusative,
Direct object, object of the preposition.
ablative.
Object of the preposition.
Exactly. So if I think of Puella, and I know because it ends in AE, this tells me it is a first declension noun. Now, Latin has 5 noun declensions. They're just families. And they're grouped together based upon your vocab, that second word. So any Latin word that the vocab has AE, this is your genitive singular ending, it will be a first declension noun. All first declension nouns follow the same chart, and that's the one I said a little bit ago, where we had I, arum, is, as, is. Okay? This is nominative, genitive, dative, ablative, or accusative, ablative. This is singular, and this is plural. Okay? So if I want to use puella as the subject of the sentence, and I'm talking one girl, I use this for my ending. Okay? You have puella. If I'm using it as the direct object of the sentence, it's going to be puellam. If I say I'm going with the girl, and it's the object of the preposition, it's going to be puella. Okay? The only way you know what job that noun's doing in the sentence is based on that ending at the end of the word. Now, what kind of skills does this help develop in our students? Paying attention to tiny details. So while we are learning Latin, we are teaching some very important life skills. We're teaching the ability to pay attention. We're teaching the ability to focus, to parse out a lot of individual differences. Okay? So I'm going to give you, if I can get my piece of paper up here, I'm going to give you a Latin sentence. And we're going to talk about it a little bit, and then we're going to work going from English to Latin just a bit. Okay? Now, I'm going to tell you what the verb means, okay? This verb is third person singular, and it means he, she, or it praises. Okay? Ladai. He, she, it praises. Anytime we have just a T, we look at the ends of our verbs too. Anytime we have just a T, it's third person singular. Our verbs have to match our nouns in case, or in number and in person, not case, number and person. So if this is third person singular, that tells me my subject is going to be singular. That can be a check. Okay? So what ending do we see here on our puella? It has to be the subject. I heard that. Why does it have to be our subject? Why does it have to be our subject? Because it's our nominative singular ending, right? Now, a lot of times students get confused because this is an A too. What is the difference between this A and this A? Pronunciation, but why? What is the difference just written here? The line. This is called a macron. And that's the big difference. Every first declension noun, if it has a macron over it, it changes its job. That little line makes all the difference. It makes it the object of the preposition instead of the subject. Okay, now let's look at the end of this word. What job is that word going to be in our sentence? Has to be the direct object. Is it going to be singular or plural? It is singular. So this is our direct object and it's singular. This is our subject noun and it is singular. Okay, now if you look on your piece of paper, you know puella means girl. And in our English configuration of a sentence, girl has to go first. Subject comes before verb, right? So we're going to say the girl. Now, where did I get the? Latin has no article adjective, so we can add that in. The girl praises. Now, what do you think that means? What does it look like? Praises Mary. Yeah. Why did I put Mary after my verb? Because it's a direct object. And when we write an English sentence, the direct object comes after the verb because it receives that action. Do you see how English is so important to this whole process? It is crucial, okay? Let's do one more. Okay, let's look at our nouns. We have Maria, Regines, Ladot. Okay? What does Ladot mean? He, she, and praises. Okay, let's look at our endings. Okay, Maria, what ending do we have on this? It is our nominative singular, so that means it's going to do what job in our English sentence? It's going to be our subject. It's our subject to noun, and it's singular. Okay, now I've got us. What job is that going to be in the sentence? It's going to be direct object because this is accusative. So it's going to do the job of a direct object. Is it singular or plural? It's plural. What does that mean for us in English? It's an S. And I tell you, sometimes students get this far and they're tired and they forget to put that S on this. It's common, but that's part of the learning to pay attention to all those details. Okay, so what did we say Maria meant? Mary. And then after our subject in English comes our verb. Mary praises. Now, if you look at your one page, I have Regina, Reginae. What does it mean?
Queen.
Queen, but we already said this was plural. So she praises the queens. Okay? Now, I want you to find a partner, and I want you to talk through how we translated, what steps we went through to translate from Latin to English. Find a partner and articulate. Now, what were some things we did? We looked at the endings. We matched the endings with the chart. We figured out what job it did based on this chart, and then we put it in the right order. Okay? See if you can articulate that to a neighbor. I'll give you about 90 seconds or so. Okay, this is hard, isn't it? This is hard, and it's hard because it's right before lunch, and we've had a lot this morning, and I just want you to get the feel when your kids come home on an at-home day as a 7th grader, and they open their Latin book. This is what they're doing. Okay? And if they get frustrated, I kind of wanted you to feel the why. Like, there's a lot going on here. There's a lot going on. And they've got to remember, like, when we go from English to Latin here in a minute, they've got to remember how to find what part of speech it is. And then they've got to pull from the chart to get the right ending on that. And then they've got to remember, oh gosh, a direct object takes an accusative ending, and this has an S, so I've got to go over here. And it's a lot, okay? It's a lot. So, if you were going to explain, let's do this together, how we go from Latin to English, just with the nouns, because the whole verb thing is a whole separate entity, and we're not going to go there today. But just with the nouns, what was the first thing I did? I underlined those endings. They got to focus in on the ending, okay? What was the second thing I did? Well, you take this ending and you compared it over here, right? So you compared it over here and you said this is an A and an A is here, and this is nominative singular. That makes it the subject. So you take the ending, you compare with your noun chart, find where it's at, know it's nominative, and then you back it up and you compare it with the job chart to identify this has to be my subject. Then you can look to see if it's singular or plural, right? One noun done. Then you go to your next noun and you do the same thing. You look at the ending, find the ending on your chart. Now, if you have your chart memorized and you can say, oh, os is accusative plural, you can see how this goes much faster, right? Why those charts are so important. And then you come over here and go, okay, accusative plural has to be my direct object. And then you have to remember subject, verb, direct object in English order. You can't just write Mary Queen's praises because that's not a sentence. Okay, that would be half wrong because you didn't have your direct object after your verb. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, we got like 15 minutes. Woohoo! We're gonna do some English to Latin. Oh, it's okay. Okay, the girls love the queens. We're gonna have similar vocabulary just because I just gave you a small vocab on your one page. Okay, so when we look at this English, step one changes. Because I can't write anything in Latin until I know what job it's doing in the sentence. So when we went from Latin to English, we looked at the endings to determine what job it was in the sentence and rewrote it. But I can't begin to put endings until I know what job it's doing in the sentence. Does that make sense? Okay, so I encourage the kids to use Shirley question confirmation. So, who loved the queens? The girls. That means that's our subject noun. It's girls singular or plural? Plural. What is being said about the girls? The girls. That's your verb. It's an action verb. That's important. It's a transitive verb, but it's action. Why is it important to identify whether we have an action verb or a linking verb? Direct objects versus predicate nominatives. So if I have a linking verb, in English when it follows the linking verbs, I have what's called a predicate nominative. What case do you think a predicate nominative would be in? Nominative case, that's right. Okay, so our subject is also predicate nominative. If this was the girl is a queen, queen and girl would both be nominative case. So identifying that this is an action verb is important because you can only have a direct object after an action verb. Okay, so the girls love who or what? Queens. Okay, that answering that question makes it a direct object. Is it singular or plural? It is plural. Okay, looking at your vocab page, which was the one page that just says information for co-teacher training. Did you look at that? Okay. All right, so what is our Latin word for girl? Puella, puellae, okay? It's a first declension noun. If it is my subject, and if it is plural, what letter endings am I going to put on the end of my word? A-E, but we say it, puellae. A-E says I. Puellae, okay? Now, verbs go at the end of my Latin sentence, so I'm going to skip to another noun because my noun goes next. Well, on your page, what is your Latin word for queens? Regina, reginae. Okay, and so direct object, plural, is going to have what ending? Direct object. So nominative subject, genitive possessive, dative indirect object, accusative direct object, object of the preposition. So it's got to have that A-S. That makes sense? I feel like I'm losing you. You with me? If you're not, shake your head no, and I'll go back.
So the line over the A is part of the Latin, the way you would write that?
Yes, that is why it's os, because, so this says aw, os, okay? If you're not sure how to pronounce things when you're working with your kids, in the blue book they bring home, there's a pronunciation guide, and you can look at that. And if you mispronounce it, it's a good for a laugh. It's okay. Okay? This, I'm going to sidebar for a minute. This is all the grammar rules. So this is every chart and rule that they need to know. Okay? And they won't learn it all in Latin 1. And by the time, if they go all the way through Latin 5, we've gone through most of this in the Blue Book. And so far as our curriculum goes, 7th, 8th, and 9th graders are required to take Latin. 10th, 11th, and 12th, we continue on if they want to, but they don't have to, okay? So the Henley 1 book has Henley 2, 3, and 4. In Henley 3, they translate Caesar's Gallic journals. And in Henley 4, they translate sections of the Aeneid. And it's really fun. Okay, just saying. In 7th, 8th, and 9th grade, they're only in this purple book. And so 7th graders start at the beginning and go approximately a third to a halfway. And then in 8th grade, they start at the beginning again. And they go like half to 3/4. And then in 9th grade, they start in this again at the beginning and they go faster. And we go 3/4 to the end. We got almost to the end last year. That was pretty exciting. Okay. Now, we need to talk verbs after that little interlude. Verbs, present tense verbs. So if you think of verbs in English, what do you know about verbs? There's action or linking. What else do we know about verbs? There's different tenses. And Latin has even more tenses than we have because the Roman people were so focused on time and relationship to time. So there are 6 different tenses. So we are doing present tense. So we have tense. What else do we have in verbs? We have tense. We have person. There's first person, second person, or third person. And we do that intuitively. First person is I if it's singular, we if it's plural. Second person can be you singular or you plural. And third person is he, she, or it singular, they plural. Those pronouns are the same when we translate Latin. So I, we, you, he, she, it, they. Okay? So we have person, we have tense. What else do we have going on with verbs? Singular, plural, number. You can also have an active voice or passive voice. We only do active those first years. And we also have mood. We have indicative mood. We have subjunctive mood. Okay? And so we are doing indicative, mood, active voice, present tense. Okay? And it's an easy chart. So we have O, S, T, mus, tis, unt. This is your ending that means the pronoun I, you singular, he, she, or it. Remember I said Ladot had a T, that meant he, she, or it. Mus is we. Tis is you plural. Like if I talked about this whole group as you. And unt is they. Okay? And they have to memorize, O means I, S means you, singular. T means he, she, or it. Us is we. Tis, you, plural. Und, they. Okay? Verbs have 4 principal parts, and they are part of families too. We have 4 verb conjugations, and they have different endings based on that. This is all we're going to look at today, is present tense, indicative mood, active voice. Okay, so to figure out, you have to figure out, if I were using the word girls as a pronoun, how would we refer to them? If I have a group of girls that walk in, and I'm not going to say the girls, I'm going to put a pronoun. What pronoun would I put? They. Which ending is they? Nt. That's my ending I'm going to put on my verb, okay? Now, what Latin word means love? Amo, amare, amawi, amatus. Okay, we use that second principal part. We chop off the A-R-E. We add our ending. We're not going to go into that, but we're going to go amant. Okay? The girls love the queens. Okay? So tell me what steps we did. What the first thing I did? We identified the parts of speech. Then we match our vocab to the words. Then we get our correct endings on our vocab, whether they're nouns or verbs, and then we put it in the proper order with our verb at the end. Okay? Let's do another one. The queen loves the forest. What was step 1? Parts of speech. Okay, who loves the forest? So that is is it singular or plural? What's being said about queen? The queen. Is it action or linking? Action, verb, so I know I'm going to have a direct object possibly. The queen loves who or what? Forest. That would be what? Singular or plural? Okay, step 1, check. Step 2, we got to find our vocab. So queen is what Latin word? Harges. Harges. It's not Regina, although we would say that as a name, like some Reginas I do. That's not how we would say it. And there's a macron here, which makes that say E, and there's a macron here, which makes that say A. Regina. Reginae. Which totally goes against everything in our head, right? Sidebar, my high school Latin teacher mispronounced everything compared to this. So I still say it in my head like I did in high school, and it's wrong. So I have to self-correct. Okay, what is our Latin word for loves? Amo, amare, amawi, amatus, right? And what's our Latin word for forest? V-S-A-W. So it's Silwa, Silwai. Okay? Did you know Pennsylvania is named after this Latin word? It was Penn's Forest. Pennsylvania. It kind of helps you spell it a little bit. There's your Latin connection. Okay, the queen loves the forest. All right? So we've got our vocab. We've parsed our sentence. Now we have to put on our endings. Okay, so queen, I'm out of time. We're going to do this real fast. Queen, if it's subject and singular, what ending am I going to put on it? We're going to put on the A. And let's do forest, because our nouns always go first. If this is direct object singular, what ending am I going to put on it? A-M, so long. Okay, and then if I were going to put a pronoun with queen, if a queen walked in, I would say she, so that's a T, amant. Okay, now That'll do it. That's it. Yeah. To help your kiddos at home. To help your kiddos at home. Drill vocab. Drill vocab. Drill charts. Have them write charts. You can make flashcards and go through those. You can say, well, I'm getting the vocab cards out, write your first declension noun chart. Write your fifth declension noun chart. Now get your blue book and check it. You can, when you drill vocab, I always start Latin and let them say the English word, but they should get to the point you can say the English word and they can write or say the Latin word as well. If they know their charts and their vocab, these things should be easy as long as they can parse a sentence. So sometimes when they get stuck is that first step. They mislabel. And you all can help with that, right? That you don't have to know Latin to be able to identify what job it's doing in the sentence. And if you have this in your notes, that tells you what case matches. And then the question you ask your kiddo is, okay, where is this vocab? Is it a first declension noun, a second declension, a third, or a fourth? And they should be able to match it. It's like a matching game. Okay, so asking good questions can help you help them. Okay, all right. If you, yes.
Can you talk about your color coding on your vocab cards?
I can. So when I do the vocab, I color code nouns, verbs, adjectives, adverbs. So I put like all the nouns on pink cards, and I put all the verbs on green cards, and I put adjectives and adverbs on, I think they're blue. And the reason I do that is when they hit that section and they introduce a whole lot of verbs, they've got to memorize all 4 parts of speech, and you can get really bogged down on the verbs. They don't start verbs with 4 parts of speech, but you will get there pretty quickly. And so I like to just be able to pull all the green cards and we just drill verbs. Or if I know they're struggling with the difference between first and second declension adjectives and third declension adjectives, I can just pull all the adjective cards. And I always write the page number at the bottom so that the next year I can just sort those cards by page number. And when they start the book over again, you can start at the beginning drilling the vocab on the pages they're at. So I put the Latin word on the outside with the page number, and then on the back side of the card I put the English and the part of speech that Latin word has. Good point.